Well, hello everybody, Nick here. Moving some cattle this morning on this Silvopasture project we got going. It's about 3 acres. It's planted with about 80 trees, most of them. Perhaps all of them are nut trees. And so what we're doing is we're bush hogging this field once a year, preferably early, though it didn't quite happen this year with the rain. And then we're coming in here kind of after the traditional grazing season with the cattle herd, and we're grazing the stockpiled forage. And we're actually kind of pushing them a little bit further than you might if you were just keeping them on regular stockpile. We have 10 round bales staged up there, and if they were just eating hay right now, this herd would be consuming about 1 bale a day. And so what we're doing is we're giving them 1 bale every 2 days. And the idea is to take some pressure off of the ground and the grass, because we want to leave some reserve for the winter and, you know, for some protection over the winter, and also just to give the grass a good boost of nutrients in the spring. But also the input of that hay and all the nutrients that comes with it, we're recycling it through the cow, rolling the hay out onto areas that are not as productive as others, areas with moss. There's little spruce trees growing up in some areas here, which we don't want. So we're using a temporary fence. We have the trees, the nut trees, planted kind of in a grid-like fashion. They're 10 meters apart on the row and about 5 to 6 meters apart within the row. So 10 meters, the rows are 10 meters apart. Anyway, it could be a little bit of a challenge using temporary fencing to keep them away from the trees. This year we've been able to do it without an issue. It just takes a little bit extra work. The long-term plan would be to, you know, fence around each of the trees individually. It just would take quite a bit of time to do 80 trees, 3 fence posts each, and then to decide what you're actually going to protect the trees with. So these cattle are really well trained to temporary fences and getting moved every day. So let's see if we can get them on here into a little piece of grass. Tomorrow morning we're going to drive them out of this pasture, so we're trying to get them into this last little corner here, which we have saved, and that puts them right by the gate. It'll be really easy to move them to the next pasture tomorrow morning. Okay, cows, come on. Here, cow. So fairly easy to get them moved, though I don't know if that was ever in question, but I just wanted to demonstrate. So now let's have a look. We've had the mineral feeder and the waterer down here, so it's kind of concentrated their manure. But just look at all the manure that put down. This is 2 or 3 days. Now we unrolled some hay, like we said, and you don't want to feed hay in one spot, like a bale ring or something, because it creates kind of on a more severe scale what we're seeing here. It was dark last night. I got this thing about 80% rolled out, and I had to get home. I got a newborn, as you can see, so that's just one of the things, give and take, with running a farm and, you know, having a family and full-time job and all that other stuff. So once these guys kind of venture out for a little nibble on some grass, we will roll that over into the other section. May spread a little bit over this compacted ground with the broken sod. And yeah, when you have your cattle really well trained to this temporary fencing, it's a highly effective tool. You never want to put the cattle in a position where they're going to tempt it. So it works great if you're moving them every day, or we were moving them every 2 days and rolling out hay. But every day they were either getting moved or getting feed. So you want to have that consistency, or the young ones, it seems, are going to start wandering off. They might get a foot caught on the thing, tear it down, and then they all get bowled to it, and you kind of got to go back to breaking them. But here is stockpiled forage. These are predominantly red poll cattle, and boy do they do well on just grass, outdoors year-round, in a Nova Scotia climate. And this is just an old hay field. I don't think a crop of hay has been taken off it in about 15 years. My family's been bush hogging it for once annually for about 10 years. But no inputs like lime, though it would benefit from it. And same with the fertilizer. I guess we're taking a little bit of a longer view on this, trying to stay away from those inputs as much as we can. And using inputs or utilizing inputs directly, like hay that we would be feeding. If it wasn't out here, it'd be in the barnyard. But this way, we get a direct benefit of it. And we don't have to go through the hassle of, piling up the manure, flipping it a couple times, putting it on a manure spreader, going out in the fields in the spring when the fields are wet. What we're able to do is put it directly where we want it. And the nice thing about it actually is, since we have the hay dropped off out here, we can feed round bales of hay just by rolling them by hand. We don't even need to start the tractor. So it's really nice. It adds some flexibility. And in my mind, this is one way, particularly in our piece of land, where we can implement regenerative practices, raising beef, keeping the animals healthy, producing high quality food. I think it's the whole package. It takes a lot of thought, but I really think this is an opportunity that can be scaled out across the province, likely across Canada, or anywhere, kind of in northern US, and probably over in Europe. It's an idea, it's a framework for managing, where you're keeping the cattle on the land, you're working with nature, you're limiting inputs, and you're limiting your reliance on machinery. So that's today's video. I hope the first section of it, where I was talking to the camera, came out all right. I had it balanced on a strand of high tensile wire. So thank you for watching. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button.